hopefully we are live, and we actually got it as listed rather than unlisted. So welcome to our feed, our Sunday afternoon live feed. So
one person is watching. That means that we did it correctly. Well done, you.
Hopefully we did, but that person's gone.
Oh. They're like, nope.
So we've got to wait for someone to arrive and someone give us a sound check. So hello, everybody who may or not be there. We are...
Hang on a minute.
Happily, it's the people
10
there,
people.
10 people there.
Are
So can someone give us a sound check, please?
You have to try not to
I
be
know,
too...
I'm not going to be all jumpy and running up and down. So, so welcome to our live feed, live from London. It's Sunday afternoon where we are. It is sunny and hot in London. And yeah, we are away from the boat for the first time. This is the first live feed we've done away from the boat for a while. How are 144 of you here?
Whoa.
What have you been doing?
We won't even live for less than a minute.
Bloody hell, you.
Give us all a thumbs up if you don't mind.
Yeah, thumbs up.
I mean, maybe there's nothing to thumbs up to yet.
So Zari, yes, we saw that you got to the last feed late. So, well, nice to see you here. So, as with all our live feeds, for those of you new to live feeds, what should we say? They are a jumbled collection of normally what goes on in my head with some announcements, with Teresa trying to MC the situation.
I'm trying to retain some level of control. And I just noticed, Nick, that we have, of course, the array of family photographs all in the background.
Yes, we do have. So there's my father's graduation photograph, and he decided to do another degree at 60. That is me when I was
No,
one.
it's not.
That's me.
That's not you. That's Sophia.
No, that's me. That's me in 19...
That's Sophia and Rafe.
Therese, I promise you, that one is me and my sister. That's me. That's 1970.
Really?
Yes, that's 19...
I always thought that was Rafe.
No. There you go. Anyway, people haven't come to see pictures of me when I was a baby.
Is it me or do you look like Sophia when she was a baby?
There you go. Anyway, so congratulations to everyone.
What about this? This is when you graduated from university?
Therese, people don't want to see this stuff. They come for a higher...
Well, then we should have rethought our background.
I wanted to be in the Bahamas, which unfortunately, yes.
Yeah, you didn't really though, did you?
No. So listen, hello to everyone. Lovely to see you all again. It is Sunday afternoon. What are you doing now? Like, you've been in this house for 10 years on and off. Have you never seen the photograph of me as a child?
I thought that was Sophia the
No,
whole
it's me.
time.
It's me kissing my sister when
Baby, you're so sweet.
See, I told you I was.
Now everyone has seen the good photo of you kissing
my sister. So yes, it's Sunday afternoon here in London. It is boiling hot today, which is weird for the middle of September. It's 26 degrees. I don't know what that means in the American...
Thomas is like, who's meant to be in control of this?
the witchcraft scale of Fahrenheit, so I'm not sure what goes on there. So hello to you all. We'll do some hellos.
Hello to everyone. Let's do some hellos. Okay, so hello to Joseph and Glenn. Glenn wants to draw a moustache on the baby, which is just not... That wouldn't be okay. Hello to Salim. Hello to Tommy. Hello to Hillary, Craig, Tom O'Connor from Ireland, Tom O'Day, possibly also from Ireland, Kirsten, Patrick, Sean, Phil, Jose, Rain, David. Oh, hello, Precision Sales. How are you? I'm assuming that's Ron, maybe?
It's Ron. Or Daryl, or both. Maybe Ron and Daryl are sat in a bar doing tequila shots where every time I say a certain word, one of them has to take a shot.
Zari, Tim, Kevin, Jessica, Peter, Stuart, Joshua, Robin, and many, many more. So hello to all of you. So
listen, without further ado, okay, and I want to show, can you open your laptop screen?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so hang on a minute.
Sorry.
You said you were going to let me deal with this because you don't understand my methods. Okay, well,
nothing new there.
So I just want to show you this. This is a spreadsheet, and I'm showing you the spreadsheet because it's the numbers of all our patrons, and we have just been. We said that every month now in our live feed for the next 3 or 4 months we're going to do a free giveaway, and so one of our patrons is going to receive a free merchandise something. So we need to pick a patron. So can someone, the first person to type this in, give me a number between 1 and 4. So the first one that writes a number between 1 and 4, that starts things up. And no one writes anything.
Everyone's like, what?
Everyone someone type in a bloody number.
Here we go, 3. 3 is the first number.
Well, we've got no, okay, 3. Okay, 3.
Oh, wow. 3 is a very popular number.
Okay. So that's, not 1, 2, 3, so 3. Okay, so 3. I can see why I've gone wrong here. Okay. No, hang on. 1, 2.
No, it needs to be between 1 and
Shit, 1 and 3, doesn't it? No, 1 and 4. Hang on.
This is okay. Before we started
Yeah,
this,
1, 2.
Nick said to me, "Whatever happens, do not interrupt me because I have a way that I'm going to do this draw." And I was like,
Teresa's going to do this. Okay.
"Okay, forget everything that's been done so far. Forget about it. Why don't we just get them to pick a number between 1 and 300?"
Okay, can someone pick a number between 1 and 300? Someone pick a number between 1 and 300.
Come on, people. 233.
233.
That's
Right.
the very first number that came up.
Right.
233.
Who is patron 233?
So patron number 233. You guys can stop with the numbers now. Because, yeah.
Everyone's kind of watching this after the fact. Who is 233?
233. Drum roll, please. Hang on. 231, 232, 233 is a gentleman called Robert Murray.
Robert Murray, you have just won a t-shirt and some stickers. And
Robert Murray is one of our $10 patrons.
doesn't matter who he is.
Well, he's a very lovely man for being so
Okay,
so
well,
generous.
there you go. So Robert Murray, you've just won some goodies. So we will get those to you, and we will contact you directly. So there you go. Anyway, that we've been trying to do that, and I was really trying not to stuff that up.
We
I
have
had this. Do you know what? I was laying awake like at 6 o'clock this morning, going, "How am I going to get this done? I've got to get them to pick a number so it doesn't sound like it's too contrived or we've made it up." But I'm like, ugh.
we have 300 patrons.
Yeah, I know, but
So if the first number is 3,
yeah, but I figured if I got everyone to pick a different number to make up 3 numbers, then it'll be more random.
it would have been more random. But your mistake was between 1 and 4. So
Yeah, I
really,
know.
what we needed was either 0, 1, or 2 to be the first number.
Yeah.
Although then our 300th patron would have missed out.
Yeah, okay, now they're all stuffing us up. Like everyone picked 233 again. No, we've got you. Everyone now, next time we do this, I'm going to do every number but 233.
Yeah.
Right, so
We had to remember 233.
Anyway, Robert Murray, thank you.
Robert Murray.
Thank you for giving us at 6 o'clock this morning.
We
Trying to work it
are
out.
going to contact you, Robert, if you're not watching this right now. So
Anyway, so that's that done. What else is there? What also, as we always do this, what else do we do?
Craig wants to know what number he was.
No, because then he'll shout it out next time.
Oh, yeah.
See?
Okay.
So we go. Do you know what I was going to do? I was actually going to print them all out and cut them into little strips and pick them out of a hat. But I couldn't find a hat or a printer or some scissors.
Plus, you did not have the patience to be cutting out 300 strips of paper.
Or get the cat to put his paw on a
Oh,
certain...
yeah. Where's Tommy? He
He's
could
gone.
have
Tommy's gone.
involved the cat.
Anyway, listen, this is how it normally works. It's a little chaotic, but people, do you have any questions for us that we can answer? So
I noticed one person was like, "What is this?" And then they're like, "See ya."
It's witchcraft. Yeah, goodbye. What have I stepped into here? I thought you were a sailing channel. Anyway.
Okay, so
yes.
yeah, any actual questions we are taking now that whole typically chaotic draw is out of the way. Oh, hello, Jack. Thank you very much. Jack says it's beer time. It's, he's buying us a couple of beers. Thank you.
Excellent.
Jack. Just watch that leave.
Yes. Anyway.
Okay, so Zari, who's also one of our beloved patrons, says, "What are your immediate plans?" And Alan, thank you. To go to the Nag's Head. Where's the Nag's Head?
For crying out loud. Nag's Head. Well, it's the pub in Only Fools and Horses.
Oh. Zari says, "What are your immediate plans?" That's an excellent question, Zari. So we are in London at the moment. We're going to be here for the next couple of weeks, and over those 2 weeks, we will be going to Southampton Boat Show. So anyone who's going to be at the Southampton Boat Show next Friday and Saturday, we will be around. And so please, we're not hosting any kind of official meetups, but if you are there and you see us, then we would love to stop and have a chat. So yeah, let us know if you guys are going to be there. And otherwise, we just have a lot of stuff to do in London, really. We've got a lot of work to do. We have, loads of work to catch up on.
Equipment to buy, things like that.
Yeah. That's our immediate plan. And of course, then we are going to Annapolis.
Yeah, we are. After America.
In about 3 weeks' time. We're going to Annapolis.
Yes. Hello, Linda. Nice to see you. Something I wanted to mention that I mentioned on the last feed was what I've been doing this weekend, which is...
all about you, you know.
No, I'm trying to kind of inspire. I went sailing with my friend this weekend, and I had...
Oh, I think that's my Amazon package.
I think probably the best week the best sale I've had in about 12 months. It was an absolutely fantastic sale. And the reason I go on about this so much, and I've been banging on to Therese about this, is that my friend's boat, I think it cost him 9,000. It's a 30-year-old Contessa 28 foot, but blimey, the damn boat flew. And I kind of, I know that I'm always talking about on the internet how, you should try and get out there earlier and enjoy it earlier, not save up for this kind of like massively expensive boat. As soon as you can, go and do it and join a local sailing club. And I went back to my local sailing club, the club that I learned to sail from, and where I bought my first boat and kept our boats until we left. And I just had a really fantastic weekend racing. And really, a $9,000 boat, just a brilliant weekend. Just a small little 30-year-old boat, fairly good set of sails on it. But, we were doing, I think we were doing 4.5 knots in 5 knots of wind today. And it just 3 of us on board. Beautiful. So don't always go for the expensive boat. Go for the one that can get you on the water the fastest and get some good sails on her, and then just enjoy life, because it was absolutely brilliant. So yes, Anna and Sid Sailing says Contessas are brilliant boats. Yeah, Contessa 28 as well, which is they didn't make many 28s, and they're still making 32s. So yes. So yes. So as Craig says, has someone who joined a sailing club this year, you can confirm. Yes.
Confirm.
That it's a good decision to go sailing in a sailing club.
Okay, so a couple of questions that I want to answer. Philip wants to know about our Annapolis plans. I'm going to get to that in a moment. And a couple of you are asking about any offers on Ruby Rose. And another question from Mike was, how is Brexit affecting your boat sales? So those two things are obviously linked together. So let's answer them both. So Ruby Rose has not sold yet, and we believe that has a lot to do with Brexit. And we have...
So someone put a naked picture of me before. Yes, it is a naked picture of me. Carry on.
I can't believe I never realised that was you. So Brexit, for those of you who don't know...
Everyone knows what Brexit is.
I wasn't about to explain what Brexit was.
All right.
And had you not interrupted me, I would have already finished that sentence. Brexit is going to impact on our VAT paid status, so our tax status on our boat. And obviously it's also affecting the pound. So those are two major issues, obviously, when it comes to buying used boats. Whether there's been tax paid on it, and obviously, how much it costs in your local currency. So those two issues, I think, are really, affecting potential buyers. And we have tried to mitigate against them as much as possible. There is no tax problem with our boat. Our boat is fully tax paid in Europe and in the UK, and it's going to stay that way because our boat is now going to be in France on the date of Brexit, presuming Brexit actually happens. So yes, essentially there's so much uncertainty. No one knows what's going to happen from one day to the next. So obviously buying something like a boat is really happening for a lot of people. So okay, so next, is there anything you wanted to add to that? There's nothing. Really.
No, so basically, Ruby Rose hasn't sold. We don't expect her to sell, and we don't expect her to sell.
The microphones there, basically. Just
I don't think we expect her to sell with this uncertainty in the market, and that's fine. We love the boat. We really do love that boat. Yeah. So happy to sell her for as long as it takes to sell her.
Yeah, we're in absolutely no rush.
Yep.
She is positioned on the west coast of France. Fantastic sailing ground. It's just amazing. It's beautiful there. And we've got some amazing plans for the next season. If she hasn't sold by probably April next year, we've got some great plans for next year. So there's no rush.
Well, someone called Thomas just asked, well, hang on, you've got a weak pound at the moment, so it should be more appealing. And he's absolutely correct. The problem is we had a Dutchman come on board a couple of weeks ago, just cold call. He goes, I see your boat's for sale. And I'm like, yeah. So he was like, blah, blah, blah. And I said, look, at the end of the tour we gave him, I said, look, this is a really good value for money for someone buying in euros, because it's the pound is so weak. He said yes, but next month it'll be weaker, and it cost me less money. So I'm like,
if there's a hard Brexit, the pound will of course weaken even more than it already has. Okay, so enough about that. So Annapolis, yes, we are obviously going to be at Annapolis. We are. So Philip has just said, what are your plans for Annapolis? So we're going to be there for the entire week. And we are not hosting any public meetups, I'm sorry. However, of course, if you see us. I mean, we'll be walking the dock every day. We'll be in the show itself every day. So if you see us, then please come up and say hello to us. We would love to meet you. We are also doing what I think is quite a fun little project, I guess, where anyone who comes up to us wearing a piece of our merchandise, so like Nick's shirt here.
Yep.
Any merchandise you got from our store, if you are wearing it on the day and you see us, then come up and say hello. Well, we may, kind of run you down. And we will have some Annapolis exclusive, like Annapolis Boat Show stickers for you. So you get a couple of free stickers from us. Just something fun.
While stocks last, by the way.
Yeah, so we've ordered what we hope are enough stickers. Is there any chance that you can maybe stop fidgeting?
My legs don't cross properly.
We've ordered what we hope are enough stickers, but yeah, obviously if they run out, they run out.
Yeah, so if you've got, if you have Ruby Rose merchandise on at the Annapolis Boat Show, you get limited edition Annapolis sticker.
Yeah,
That's it.
I think is quite fun. We are, excuse me, we are also doing a seminar. So at 11 o'clock in the morning on the Friday the 11th, we are hosting a seminar, and it is open to everyone. It is completely free. You don't need to book tickets. You don't need to do anything. You just rock up on the day, and hopefully there'll be space available. I think it's first come, first serve. And we are going to be doing a seminar on our experience in the French canals. So everything to do with the French canals, and I think it'll be fun. I think that it's a subject that has possibly never been spoken about before at the Annapolis Boat Show. You can find seminars on almost every single subject to do with cruising and boating at the Annapolis Boat Show, but I think what we're offering is something a little bit different, a little bit fun. I'm hoping that you guys are going to like it. And so if anyone wants to come to that seminar, then please come along. The details are on our Facebook page.
Fine. I saw a little bitchy comment from someone who's obviously got his underpants on too tight this morning, asking, it says something like, you expect us to support you, but no public meetup. So I'm going to answer that in my own inimitable way. We are doing 2 meetups, and they are patron-only meetups. And before you all go, hang on a minute, that's elitist. There is a reason for this. When we did our first meetup, this is back in Charleston.
2017.
Charleston, we had about 30 people. We were literally a very, very small channel. Had like 10,000 subscribers back at the time. And we did this meetup, and I remember talking to a couple of really lovely Americans, and they said, look, we went to a couple of meetups for another sailing channel that are bigger than us. And he said, I really didn't enjoy it. There were just too many people there. I didn't get a chance to speak to people.
Speak to the
and you know what? We came all this way to meet them, and we didn't really I really wanted just to sit down and just say hi and spend 5 minutes talking to them. I'm like, well, and we took that on board, didn't we?
Yeah.
And so what happened was we tried to limit, because obviously Annapolis is rammed. So trying to find a venue to do a meetup is actually quite difficult.
Yeah.
We did one at the Fleet Reserve Club 2 years ago, and the place was rammed. So we put it to patrons only this time, and we've got to start a second event, and we're keeping these events small so that we can actually spend time with you.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean that we're not going to be there and we're going to be like, wearing a gold cape and like stumbling around on the pontoons going, well, I don't know you. We are going to talk to everyone that's there at Annapolis, and that's why we're going to give away free stickers, so that if we see you, we can give you something. But we can't do meetups for the public anymore, just without having some criteria as to who we get to see. And it's not like literally every one of our patrons was invited on a first come first served basis. You're like, you come, but when we're full, and we got full. Anyway, someone's asked, put the Ming costume on.
Oh, that's a blast from the past.
The Ming costume.
Where there must be on the blog.
Yes.
If you haven't already seen on our website, if you go back several years now, there are photos like buried in the archives of Nick dressed up as Ming the Merciless.
Exactly. So anyway, more Annapolis stuff.
Which are hilarious.
So we've had a lot of questions about catamarans.
Okay.
I'm going to say something. If any other bugger asks me, are we going to see the Exquisite X5? For every time I hear the Exquisite X5 mentioned, I'm going to throttle the kitten. I have said we are seeing the we are seeing the Exquisite.
Literally, like our video from Friday, I think at least 50% of the comments are, some of them are just the words Exquisite X5 with a question mark.
Yeah.
And and a few more kind of expand that sentence out to, are you going to review the Exquisite? Yeah.
We are seeing the Exquisite X5. In fact, after the 4 weeks ago when basically there's someone with exquisite Tourette's, which just says, they just say exquisite X5 all the time.
And what I love is at the end of that video, I actually kind of said we're going to see these boats, these boats, these boats, and I'm 95% sure I included the exquisite in that list.
You do. In fact, so prominent was that when I put the end of that video together, right? It was very late to edit, so I was doing this last week. I thought, right, surely, you've said exquisite X5. Then I got a picture of an exquisite X5 and put it on the end of the video. And then I even wrote the words exquisite X5. So I thought, right, really, you've said it, you can see it, and it's written. Still, every other comment saying the exquisite X5.
Yeah. So the answer is yes, we're seeing the exquisite X5.
Yes.
Please stop asking us about the exquisite X5. In fact, unless it's like a really obscure boat that we've never heard of before, which is unlikely, by the way, we are going to be seeing all of the catamarans that are available at Annapolis that we have not yet seen because they're not available elsewhere. So yes, we're going to see all of the catamarans.
But the next person that mentions the exquisite X5, I'm going to call it the Neil X5, and I'm going to go and pull it all apart, and you're going to get a review of none out of 10. Hey, where's your malarkeys? Anyway, so yes, we are seeing the exquisite X5. We have the appointment booked to see it. So there you go.
All right, I think. Wow, I didn't realise you had such a thing about the exquisite.
Do you know what? Because we get the.
I think that you were like super calm about it, and then it's just like the straw that broke the camel's back.
No, literally,
like,
because
comment.
we get notifications. We get notifications every time someone comments, right?
Oh, I don't. I've turned them off.
So have you? So literally, I'm trying to sail along yesterday, and I'm like, ping, exquisite X5, ping, exquisite X5. I'm like, for crying out loud.
That's why you need to turn them off.
So there's two types of comment that really at this moment I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. One is the exquisite X5, right?
Yeah.
It's going to have to be, this boat is literally going to have to be the Catamaran equivalent of Keira Knightley covered in cling film. Because really, it can't be that good. But we shall see. So that's the first thing. Secondly, 99.8% of you, that's from our statistics on YouTube, absolutely love the Catamaran reviews that we're doing. That leaves the 0.2% that seem to be very, very, very angry owners of certain boats. Specifically, a South African catamaran and a French catamaran brand.
Yeah.
So there was, and I love trolls. I do. I think they're amazing. So there's someone with a French 51-foot racing catamaran, and he's like, "You don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah. You don't know, blah blah blah. I've got a 51-foot French racing catamaran, blah blah blah." And I'm like, "All right, mate. Well, 1,200 people disagree with you, but it's just you." And then there's another one championing a South African brand of catamaran going, again, you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know what I'm talking about, but yet 1,200 people now have voted to say that we do. And this isn't just us like slipping them like M&Ms and going, oh, vote for us. This is like us like saying, make a valued judgment based on your own intelligence and score it. And then we can be less subjective. So yes.
Objective.
More objective.
You said near subjective.
Did I say mishmash? Anyway, that's that. So,
anyway.
So I just said we have 645 of you watching and 148 little tickies and likes. So that means that 75% of you are not ticking boxes. So if you could please give us a thumbs up or a like or both, or leave a comment or do something else. So Kevin says you should rock the moustache at Annapolis. Teresa has forbade me from rocking the moustache at Annapolis. So I'm not allowed to do that.
Not just at Annapolis, at any event for the rest of your life.
In fact, I was so keen on the tash that I asked, we put a poll out, didn't we, on Instagram? I said to Nick,
because he just kept on going on and on and on about the tash. This was probably about a year ago. And I said, leave it up to the public. We will put a poll out on Instagram, and if everyone loves the tash as much as you think they do, then they will vote for it. And alas, I think that it was 70% were against the tash. In other words, only 3 out of 10 people wanted the moustache back.
Does my vote not count?
If you really want to grow it again, then you can. I said that to you not long ago, and you had a little think about it, and then you decided it was too itchy.
It was really bloody itchy. Seriously, it was like having a squirrel running around under my nose.
I said to you, if you feel like you really need it back, then you can.
All right. So yes, okay. So the tash, but the thing is, there's another famous YouTuber sailor that's got a tash. And I don't want to steal his thunder. Anyway, what else? So any other questions while we're here?
Yes. Any other relatively sensible questions? Zari says, I agree with Teresa. So,
All right,
thanks.
well, Zoe says, Zoe gets.
Yeah.
Team Teresa, no moustache from C&M Flowers. C&M Flowers, God damn you! How I ring. May your flowers, may your petals wilt, and your stems be crushed.
Okay. Linda says, we know you love America, and how long will you be here for? I know you're going to tour a bit. So we had 2 events in October that we're trying to work the boat show between. So the first thing at the beginning of October is we need to go back to the boat. And then, so we're not going to get back, we're not going to be able to leave the boat until like the 3rd or the 4th of October. And then I have a wedding at the end of October. So we couldn't spend that much time in America. We could only get 2 weeks in the end. So yeah, we're spending 2 weeks in America. One of which is going to be in Annapolis, and then the other will be New York. And
Washington.
A very brief visit to Washington.
That's good. Yes. We had some questions, and they scrolled up on them.
Oh, sorry.
I duly forgot them.
What do you know what they were about?
No, don't. You know what I'm like.
What editing software do you
Oh,
use?
Final Cut Pro, the glitchiest of all software, but it's what we know. Hello, Linda. She says, okay, so someone's mentioned the Fontaine Pajot 45.
Oh, okay, which is now named Elba.
Elba.
Like Edris?
No, like the Isle of. Like a useless lump in the Mediterranean where the French abandon the things that they don't want. Elba. It's true.
I thought it was an Italian island.
Yes, but the thing is that the French exiled Napoleon to Elba.
Oh, okay.
So the French, okay. Nonetheless, so there you go.
A lot of people wouldn't have known that.
Anyway, so the FP45, haven't seen it. I just really, yeah. I think I'm not gonna preface my view of a boat that I haven't seen. I'm not gonna come up with a statement that may be me just.
What?
Yes, exactly. I'm gonna wait until I've seen the boat before I comment. Yeah, the first.
But if you want to know what we think about Fontaine Pajots more generally, then you can watch our Astrea 42 review.
Watch my 15-minute rant on the internet.
There's been a couple of questions from Kojo 2017 saying, have you considered a trimaran? We have a video review out of the Nil trimaran, which is the only, to my knowledge, the only cruising trimaran, as in the only trimaran set up for round the world sailing, which is what we're planning to do.
Yes.
So, yes, if there's another cruising trimaran available that we've somehow overlooked, then please bring it to our attention.
Corsair 600.
That's not a cruising trimaran.
It is a 27-foot cruising trimaran. I've just spent I spent the weekend on a 27-foot boat.
I'm talking about a cruising.
Lovely, it was lovely.
A liveaboard cruiser. That's
Yes.
what we're after. Lewis, thank you very much. Hello from Plymouth.
Hello,
That's
Plymouth.
very generous of you, Lewis. Thank you.
And what was that pub we were in Plymouth?
Oh,
Nice pub there.
yeah, I don't know. Okay, so some more questions. Zara says, Teresa, have you had to practice to keep a hold on Nick's rants? I mean, we've been together 10 years and I still have no luck really with that. So, no, I'm going to have to go
Yes.
no.
No, you haven't. Someone says custom boats. SV Anui. Do you mean actually having one built yourself from scratch with our own design on it?
Probably, yes. So, we are, we've never really considered like building our own custom catamaran.
No, and really, the problem is that catamaran design is so complex to get a good performing one. It's different to Monohull, which essentially you just draw the shape of a boat on a napkin and take it to the boat design and go, yeah, we can make that. Catamaran, because there's 2 hulls that flex independently, and it's all to do with how it's braced. You need a proper naval architect to design a catamaran and get it to perform well. I mean, obviously, there's homebuild catamarans and the Warram cats that are really kind of like, but to start from scratch, yeah, it's not going to be a one-off. No. The other question that we've been getting a lot on the internet, about our reviews, which I think is something I do want to touch upon, is people going, hang on a bloody minute, you lot said your budget's $500,000 and you're looking at catamarans over $1 million. What's going on here then, mister? To which the answer is simply this. Really the only way to see boats, in one place are boat shows, and while there are used boat shows, new boat shows are the way forward. You know, you can see all the models, and you get a good idea of what they cost new, which is a good way of comparing them. We have said from the outset that we are looking at used models as well. So, say for instance, we found a exquisite X5, and like, or any brand of boat, we would then look to older models if we thought actually this has all the things, everything we could want from a boat. So, example that we have put out is Ultramare 51, amazing boat, but they have a 49, which I think is it's the same hull shape, but that's substantially cheaper. So we would look to like previous incarnations and privilege have older incarnations, different, and and older Antares, for instance. They've got the Antares, was it the GS now?
Yeah.
And so you can look at older models. So the best way to quantify which boat we think is best for us at the moment, whether it's new or old, is just to see what's on offer on the market. The other criticism that's been levelled at us, and I think this does need explanation, and there's a couple of people obviously just upset for the weekend, didn't have enough coffee, kids pissing them off. They're like, well, hang on a minute, how can you can't compare a $2 million boat to a $500,000 boat? That's ridiculous. Obviously a $2 million boat is going to score higher. This is ridiculous. You don't know what you're talking about. This is my answer, really. What happens is, if you had anyone that's into automobiles or cars, you buy What Car magazine, they will rate cars based on, they'll give them a score. So, whether it's a Skoda or a Ferrari, or, they are all given scores based on different criteria. So you can quantifiably score boats. The thing about the analogy with the car market is that it's really easy when you've got a car market to turn around and say, well, hang on a minute, this is the best SUV in class, the best sports car in class, the best compact car in class, and then have a pool of, say, 10 to 15 SUVs. There are so few catamarans on the market. There must be like 20 tops. So, yeah, you can turn around and say best production cat, best cruising performer, best luxury cat. But even then, in the grand Venn diagram of everything, there's like, well, what does that fall into? Nautitech is a good example of this. Nautitech, clearly a production catamaran, but they are also a semi-performance catamaran. And so it's different. It's impossible. So the only way we could do is, it's not like I was sat there we were sat there in a pub one day and I thought, I know what we're going to do. We actually thought this out, and we asked you lot. I think this was put into a live feed like months ago. Come and give us some categories, and we refined it all. So there is a reason for it, and it is a flawed system, because you can pick any system apart, and the system regarding these catamaran reviews is, yes, it's difficult to compare a $2 million catamaran to a $500,000 catamaran. However, and I will say this, if you look at those top scores, which are scored by you, the Katana 53, which is a $1.2 million catamaran, scored lower than the Nautitech 46, which is a $500,000 catamaran. So there is not a correlation between the value of the catamaran and the score it gets. In fact, Seawind number 1 is cheaper than Ultramare number 2. So it doesn't just work like that, and this is how you have scored them. So so this is literally because we do get a lot of these comments, people who are maybe slightly disgruntled, got some mental health issues, and therefore maybe obviously questioning our analysis.
How very dare they question
you don't
methodology.
Don't believe in Santa Claus and all that bad stuff. Questioning the methodology behind it. So I agree, it is flawed. It's not a perfect system, but it's the most perfect system we could find at the moment.
And I think I'll just add that the comparative episode on Friday wasn't really meant to directly compare the catamarans. It was really more of an update as to how you, the public, had scored the catamarans so far, because obviously at the end of each episode or end of each review, we are saying to you, please go on to our app and score this boat. But there's no point in that being just a one-way thing without ever publishing those results, because you're going in and you're scoring these boats, but then you never find out like the results of that and how those boats have scored. So it was really more just to update you guys and show you like this this load of boats that we've done so far, all the boats that we reviewed at Grand Mott. this is how they have performed as far as the public is concerned. So I don't think it was more really about comparing them to each other, although obviously the comparison did take place, because we do want to do some comparative boat episodes in the future where we compare, like we do more direct comparisons, say like all the production catamarans or all the entry level catamarans or all the performance catamarans. So we'll see how we go with that. Anyway, Jennifer asks, can you explain what dagger boards are for? Can you explain what dagger boards are for and why or why not you would want them?
And thank you, Jennifer. You want to do that?
So dagger boards are, I might get some of the terminology wrong, but they're, think of them like keels, I guess. The keels in a keel in a monohull, you have the hull and then you have a keel underneath. A catamaran doesn't normally have a keel in the same way. It might have like mini keels or stub keels, but they don't have like deep keels. But a daggerboard catamaran kind of solves that problem. So they're usually retractable, so you can bring them up or put them down to a certain extent. And they are kind of what they sound like. I guess they're like deep keels that you can put up or down. The advantage, there's a couple of advantages. One is that, of course, being a keel, you get better pointing ability. That's after all what keels are for. So you can point far higher in a catamaran with dagger boards. Another advantage is when you are in big seas, you can there's a strategy that you can use where you put one dagger board down and you leave the other one up. I can't remember which one's which actually, the leeward or the windward catamaran.
You leave the windward one up.
And
no, it's the leeward one. No, the windward one down.
The windward one stays down and the leeward one you retract. And that helps to prevent the catamaran from capsizing in big seas. And also you don't get as much leeway. So if you have the dagger board down, on the wind, it would be on the windward side.
Yeah. Well, you put them both down.
Yeah, you could put them both down. Then you don't suffer with as much leeway, which is the boat being pushed sideways.
Leeward up, apparently.
Leeward up, yeah. See, we don't know. We've never sailed a dagger board catamaran before. So there's advantages to dagger boards. The disadvantages are that the dagger boards take up space in the hull, so you lose internal volume. If you don't know how to use the dagger boards properly, then you can actually put yourself in danger, because a dagger board down can actually flip the catamaran. If it's my understanding is that if the catamaran is like sliding down a wave and the one of the dagger boards is down, then it can kind of trip the catamaran up. And yeah, so they're the main disadvantages. But a lot of cruising performance catamarans like the Katana and like the Outremer, the Sea Wind, they have dagger boards, and so you'll find them on the more performance orientated catamarans. The Nautictec being an exception. This is where the Nautictec is interesting, because it doesn't have all the performance characteristics, but it has like some performance characteristics. Yeah. So anyway, do you want to add any of that?
Yeah, I just want to tell you, because the CEO of Gunboat told us this.
Yeah.
The other thing about dagger boards is that they don't just go straight down; they curve under slightly. So what happens is it actually holds the boat in the water, so it stops an up and down motion and hobby horsing, because there's a slight kind of it holds it in.
Grabs the water.
Yeah, it grabs the water. So yeah, dagger boards. Yes.
We are not like naval architects. If there's there'll
be
people.
You hadn't guessed we're not naval architects.
There's many people who'll be able to explain that far better than we can.
So it's 772 of you watching. Can you all please give us a lovely thumbs up, a like, a comment, and all that other malarkey? So yes, someone has already commented, are we seeing the Maverick 440? Yes, we are. So if you look at the end of the video, the last video, there's 6 brands that we definitely want to go and see. Maverick, Majestic, Exquisite, yes, Antares, and Neisner, and anything else that we see, we want to go and view.
We're going to look at the Sea Wind 1260.
Yeah, the 1260. Looking forward to that one. Yeah. That's an interesting boat. The Sea Wind 1260. I'm not quite sure what to expect. I've looked at a lot of videos about the 1260, and really they're broker videos. And what I don't like about broker videos is that they kind of like...
They're always like, this boat is so amazing.
Yeah, it's like, oh, look at this, it does this. It's got like a revolving bowling alley.
Have you ever seen anything so incredible in your life? It's like,
yeah, exactly. So the revolving bowling alley, and they kind of like... the trap door. So there's loads of stuff, but I want to see it from our point of view. All I would say about the 1260, and that can be probably, and this is having never been on one, Richard Ward, who designed it. He's the owner of Seawind. We met him. He is a proper badass hardcore sailor. So he knows a lot about sailing. He really does. So I think a lot of the features are built into it from a sailor's perspective. Whereas the newest Fontaine Pajot's got a hot tub built into it. So from a point of view,
so does Discovery 50.
Yes, there's a hot tub so
Obviously
it has a lot of features that I think actually I can see why they do that.
Okay, so let's still in the catamaran, on the catamaran subject. Jeremy says, regarding your choice of catamaran and the balance, this is a good question. We have addressed this a couple of times, but I think it's always good to come back to this because it's very important. In terms of the balance of space versus performance, given that you spend your life on the boat, surely space is more important. It doesn't matter if a long ocean crossing takes a little bit longer. So for those of you who aren't aware of this already, when it comes to catamarans, probably unlike monohulls, really you have to make a fairly early decision between performance and space, internal living space.
I'm just writing a comment.
They do not go hand in hand unless you go really, really, really big. And of course, that means really, really, really expensive. So yes, you do have to make that decision. So do we want performance or do we want internal living space?
Well, listen, back to what I was saying before. I had a really fantastic sail this weekend. A really amazing sail on it was John and Christine's boat, whoever was mentioned before. So one of my closest friends, John, and his partner Christine took me out sailing for the weekend. That boat, it's Contest of 28. It was a performance cruiser in its time. It wasn't a race boat, but it's a performance cruiser. And because it's light, it just worked in light airs. It just worked like a dream. It really went,
Okay, but we're talking about like a livable cruiser.
Yes, but I would prefer a lighter performance catamaran, one that rather than a big. We've been living on a 38-foot monohull for 5 years, right? I don't think that we need the palatial aspects of a 50-foot lagoon. I don't think. I think it's.
No, but we could have the same internal living space on a, say, Lagoon 42, as we would on the Outremer 51. Save ourselves a huge amount of money and have a boat that's running costs were a lot smaller because it's only a 42-foot boat. So that is, I guess, the argument.
It's true. I don't know, babe. I don't know. Calvin says, would we go in-mast furling on a cat? I don't know. It depends on on a production cat, on a cruising catamaran, possibly. On a performance cruiser, absolutely not. No, I'd probably even try and look at a carbon mast.
So, Jeremy, sorry, Nick, we didn't really answer the question, did we?
What was the question?
This is what I have to deal with. Jeremy, we're still working through that very conundrum ourselves, in case you hadn't already guessed. So yeah, it's a great question, and we haven't found the answer for us yet.
No.
Okay. Catherine says, have you been on the Discovery 50?
Yes, we have.
We have actually. We, just by pure coincidence, there was one docked on the same pontoon as us in La Rochelle a few weeks ago. So the owner invited us over and we had a really great little tour. And also, we didn't film, but fortuitously, Discovery are actually showing their the catamaran.
Thanks, Rachel.
At the Southampton Boat Show, which we're going to next Friday. I don't know if we mentioned this already. Next Friday, we'll be at Southampton. If any of you are there, please come and say hello. Okay. Ben says, do you still keep in close contact with Jason and Nikki? Yes, we do. Yeah, we email them, WhatsApp them. We're hoping to see them at some point later this year or early next
year. We're
not sure. Yeah. We're still.
That's one problem with us being, nomadic. Really, all our sailing friends are nomadic. So literally, we are like ships that pass in the night.
Webhead USA says, how are the electrical systems grounded on a boat?
There's a common earth which goes through the hull. It's normally it's grounded to something which goes through the bottom of the boat, like the prop shaft.
I didn't know that.
There you go. Potato Lover 273 says, "What do we think of La Rochelle as a town? Love the place. Love the place. Absolutely." Whoever's asked, I think we covered this before. No, we still have not sold Ruby Rose. We are not in any rush to sell Ruby Rose, and we're perfectly happy while Brexit is sorting itself out to just hang on to it until the chaos settles down, because no one is buying boats at this time.
And frankly, for us, even if we sold Ruby Rose tomorrow, we would sell in pounds. All of our savings are in pounds. Everything is in sterling. So we would be buying our next boat, which would probably be a catamaran, which is inherently much more expensive than a monohull anyway, with a very, very weak currency, which is not ideal. So frankly, it suits us well to just leave that for a while, because
leave it to fate. It's fine.
At the moment the pound is it's not a great time to be buying boats.
Someone said 120 or 240 volts on a boat. I would always take 240 because you can wire when we're in America, but you can just change one of the wires on the output and you get 240 through it on a I think it's a 20 amp pedestal and a marina. And really there's only two countries that use 110, and that's America and Brazil. So there you go.
There's
Kojo asked this question: what about selling our boat in the US? Our boat is for sale. She's on a brokerage site. She's on Yacht World, so anyone can buy. You could be an Eskimo and buy her.
Speaking of Eskimos, someone says, "Have you ever thought of sailing to Greenland?"
No.
I would love to sail in high latitudes, but there's just one thing holding me back.
Is it me? Is it me? Hey?
Yeah, it really is.
Samantha, beautiful Samantha says, where would you love to visit again that you haven't been for a long time? By boat. Do you know what? Why don't you give your answer first? Because I always
where would I like to go back to?
Yeah, we haven't been for a while.
I don't know. I always find this question really difficult. Like, where was your favourite place?
I want to go back to St. Martin. Martinique.
Oh,
I always want to go back to Martinique. I think Martinique is such an amazing place.
Amazing place.
Amazing place.
I don't know. Because I love everywhere that we've been so far. I've loved for different reasons. What I would say is that for me, the BVIs and the USVIs were particularly special, and Puerto Rico. So I could spend an entire season just in Puerto Rico, BVIs, USVIs.
Carlos E asks a question that I'm going to deal with as delicately as I deal with any questions. And Carlos E says, second chance and review of the Neil Catamaran. Trimaran, yeah. No, it's not going to happen, and I will explain why. After the first review of the Neil 47, we went to Neil very kindly reached out to us, and I thought they were very gracious because we'd just given their boat a shoeing on the internet, and they said, come and see our yard and have a look, see what you think. And we went down there and they answered all our questions, and we videoed and we videoed, and they showed us another 47 which was ready to go. It was being shipped off to Japan.
Do you remember which hull number that was?
6 or 7, as I recall.
Yeah.
So they showed us the boat, and they've made modifications to the boat. For instance, in our first video, you could see that the stairs in the hull were broken, and they've put welded stairs in there now. So it was firmer, and we saw the bits of the boat that we hadn't seen. The problem is, and if you look back at our Neil video, if you're in any way inclined to do this, the first comment is a pinned comment, and it's a comment from us having been to see the yard. And really, I'm kind of sticking with the adage, if you've got nothing positive to say about something, say nothing. And I'm going to leave it there. There was not enough different on that boat for me or us to go back and say, actually, this is what, we found going to see it again. We were wrong. There were issues on that boat that I still really wasn't happy with. Both Theresa and I brought it up with them individually and said this. I was said to both the ladies there, I wouldn't accept this boat from you. I'd ask them for my deposit back, my money back, and they disagreed with me, which they're allowed to do. But they were very gracious, very kind, and
I think what I would say about the Nil is that what they're trying, the concept of the cruising trimaran is a fantastic one, and they're trying to do that. They're trying to do something that really no one else is doing, and I think that they need credit for that. And
Yes.
this is what the two representatives that were there were talking to us the most about. Is that they're selling essentially the concept of the cruising trimaran experience, and they kept on referring back to the Nil experience and how you can't really compare it to cruising a catamaran or sailing a catamaran or a monohull. It really is its own experience, and I completely appreciate that, and I applaud them for being innovative and for trying to offer cruisers an alternative. And I think that the concept is great to get kind of trimaran performance and, and livability all at the same time. I just have major questions over the finish. Yeah.
That's it.
And attention to detail. Okay, so a couple of questions. Someone says, are you going to do a Pacific crossing? Yes, very much so. This is what we are going to buy a catamaran for. Not that we're suggesting that you can't do a Pacific crossing in like a bathtub or anything that you want, but we have been living on board our 38-foot monohull for 5 years. We have done 2 Atlantic crossings. We have cruised extensively, and we have come to the conclusion that we would like a little bit more comfort and space. Yep. So catamaran is. We are waiting for that to happen before we cruise the Pacific.
Yeah. And something I'm going to pick, because someone's mentioning Naughty Tech again, we went to see a Naughty Tech 40. A couple of our followers had just taken delivery of a Naughty Tech 40. Mm-hmm. And I would say this genuinely, there's 871 of you watching this at the moment. And first time I say to you, if you haven't clicked the thumbs up, please click the thumbs up. But what I'm going to make to you is that probably of the 871 of you, I would probably like to think that 10 of you will buy a boat in the next 5 years that's a new boat. I would say to you 100%, if you are spending a considerable sum of money on a boat, have the boat surveyed completely before you accept delivery of it. Because even on the 40 that we saw, there were issues that I saw that I'm like, I'd want that changed before I took delivery of it. And the owner, he's a really nice chap actually, he's like, ha, they won't change that. They won't do that for me.
Like what?
Okay, so the thing that it just annoyed me. But you know, when you're spending, I think they spent a lot of money on that boat. There was a panel next to the chart table where they'd obviously tried to take it out.
Oh, and they'd scuffed the.
So basically, they'd obviously put a screwdriver between 2 bits of wood and pulled it, and I could see that there was an indent from the blade of a screwdriver, and I'm like, well, that should have been pulled out with a suction cup, as you do on a boat, and I'm like, get them to change the panel. I said, that should be changed because that's unacceptable. You've damaged something. If you went to a shop and bought a piece of furniture, a small... This is what I don't get. If you went to buy, a table, a dining room table from a furniture shop, and it had a screwdriver mark on it, you'd say, I want money off that. I want you to change it.
And they would give you a discount without any...
But for some reason, because it's the furniture on the inside of your boat, you're like, oh, that's okay, we'll leave that. I'm like, no, you get it damn thing changed. And so really, I would genuinely say to you, if you are buying a boat and you're having a new build, involve a surveyor. It is not simply for used boats. So get a surveyor involved and make them understand from the outset, because most boats, when you buy a boat, you pay a deposit and then you have staged payments. So after, when the hull is complete, you pay 20%, and when the next bit done, you pay 30%, and then you pay the last 10%. If you involve a surveyor every stage of this proceedings, firstly, they will raise their bloody game. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you this much: we have seen workmanship on new boats, not just trimarans, but catamarans. We're like, I wouldn't accept that. That is shabby as hell. And we were talking. Strange enough, I was talking last night to a couple who took. I won't mention that they spent a lot of time on a delivery trip for a very posh catamaran, and there was a lot of construction problems with that. They needed
Were there? You didn't tell me that.
Well, I was pissed in a pub and trying to talk to John rather than talking to you about things, so I haven't got down to that.
How dare you not tell me every single aspect of the conversation?
So my advice generally is to involve a surveyor. Really, to get a boat surveyed it's going to cost you about $1,000 to get a survey done at each stage. Now, if you're spending $500,000 on a boat, I would budget $3,000 for 3 surveys, for a survey to go in at each stage and assess it.
I think that any catamaran manufacturer watching this is probably like, oh my god,
yeah, bastards.
No, but we are nightmare customers. We're Don't you think that they would be like, oh my God, I really hope these don't buy boat from you?
Steve Fuller
Hang
has
on,
asked.
wait, will you? No.
He's asked a question. He's asked it 3 times now.
What's the question?
What hull number Naughty-Tech was it?
Oh,
See?
you can answer that very quickly.
Anything else?
No.
Polish your shoes? Anything else I'm allowed to do? Doff my cap to you?
What hull number was it?
I don't know. But the one that we saw 2 Naughty-Techs, and it's actually a combined review of those Naughty-Techs. So we saw the 46 Fly, which has got the kind of like the flybridge, and then the open 40. But we wouldn't consider the Fly as an offshore cruiser. So it's the 40. So we would look to the 46 open.
So yeah, we're trying to review the 46 open without actually being on board a 46
There you
open.
go.
Okay, so Michael, who's very kindly bought us a beer, asks, speed in passage versus space. So this is a similar question to Jeremy's. I'll take a few days fewer in a passage than a walk around berth. Yeah, so Michael's saying that he'd rather performance, kind of to prioritise performance over internal space. He doesn't care so much about like an island berth if he gets like to his destination a bit sooner. And this is our exact dilemma, is that we love sailing, but we also love being at our destination. And this is the thing that performance catamarans, performance boats in general, I don't feel like they're just for people who like love sailing. I think they're also for people who love being at their destination, which I think that category we definitely fall into, because it means that you spend less time at sea and more time enjoying the destination. And you get some really kind of cool speeds hopefully on the way, and that are a lot of fun. So hopefully you get fun sailing, but also more time wherever it is that you're sailing to.
Well, you can also outrun storms faster.
There's also a safety aspect, of course. Yes, you can outrun weather. You can take advantage of shorter weather windows. There's obviously a lot of advantages to being in a faster boat.
But all I would say, on the other side of that coin is our friends Mike and Gina have got a Lagoon 450 sport top that they keep in the BVI's.
No, they've got a flybridge.
Flybridge. And that boat is absolutely perfect for them. And they only want to spend, they spend 6 months in the Caribbean. They do this, And
if we weren't planning to do any like long passages,
we'd buy it.
We'd be happy in a Lagoon 45 or whatever.
Absolutely.
Actually, that brings me on to, I've just remembered, someone asked, and I meant to answer, but now forgot, what we think of the Lagoon 46. We did go on board the 46. The 46 for us at the moment is not a contender because it does not come in that sports helm.
Yep.
What do they call that? Sports helm?
Yeah, they're kind of like, sports helm. Sporty helm.
It's so sporty, I don't... it only comes in the flybridge. So for the minute, the 46, while it is only available in the flybridge, is not a contender. Otherwise, it was a very lovely boat.
Sorry.
It was huge. And frankly, it was so big, I can't even get over how big it was. I know that we come from 38-foot Monohull, so we're like... Any kind of catamaran is impressive, but it was particularly palatial.
Yes.
Okay. Another question is, have you looked at the Neisner 440s at all? Which is a great question. So, okay, normally Nick does the ranting.
Yes.
Now I'm going to do the ranting, and you can have a look and see what questions you want to answer next. Hang on, whoa, I'm about to rant.
Sorry.
Don't interrupt my rant. So my problem is that there is a very marked shift away from catamarans between 40 and 50 foot. There are so many manufacturers now, Neisner included, which is why I'm talking about it now, that have abandoned their smaller cruising catamarans, around 40, in Neisner's case, 44 and 48 foot, in favour of their really large catamarans. So they've got a 50 and I think a 60 or 55 or a 60 foot now. And that seems to be an overall trend. I think it's Majestic that also went the same way. That they are they the ones that took over Dean.
Yep.
So they used to be like a Dean 44 or 440, and then the people who bought Dean out are now just sticking to their 50-foot catamaran. St. Francis is another example. St. Francis used to have, I think, a 44 or a 46-foot catamaran. They have discontinued that, and now they're just concentrating on their 50-foot line. And there are countless other examples. Seawind is actually another example of having their older models, which was the 1260 falls into that category. The 1260 has been around for a very long time, and now they're putting all their their development into their 50-foot model, which is their new flagship model, which is lovely. But for people like us, it'd be really nice if there was something a little bit more, not only budget friendly, but I feel like cruiser friendly as well. Like, people do not need, most cruising couples do not need, or I would argue a lot of them do not want a 50-foot catamaran. But if you want quality, but you're also wanting something a bit smaller, i.e. around 45 foot, then your options are fairly limited unless you go to the used market. So that brings me back to the Nysa 440. It's a great boat, but it's got some features that are quite old-fashioned, and I would much prefer, say, the interior of the new Nysners and the build quality and the finish, the quality of the finish of the new Nysners, which is superb from what I've seen. But why can't I have that in a 44 or 45 foot version? They only offer that in the 50 foot version. And the answer, of course, it comes down to profit margins. Yeah. There's a much bigger profit margin in a 50 foot catamaran than there is in a 45 foot catamaran. The only exception to this that I can think of, there's a couple of exceptions. One is the Maverick.
Antares.
And the other one is the Antares. And the Antares is a really good example of a boat builder who is still looking after their core market. They're kind of the cruising couple who want to sail around the world, but do not need or want a 50-foot catamaran. And that's what the Antares does really well.
And that's what manufacturers, seriously, if any of the manufacturers have got insomnia and like, oh, watch this, see what those up to, understand that there is a huge gap in the market for mid-40s non-production cats.
Yeah.
Like Antares do it and Maverick do it, but everyone else, they do like, and Seawind have got the 42 and a 51. Ultramer 50, the Ultramer is a different one. Ultramer 45, despite the fact SLV have got one, it's not big enough to live on because you can't load the damn boat up, so you can't put.
It's not a cruising.
It's not, it's not. Someone's asked about a water maker, which I think he's asked about 6 or 7 times now. So I really want to get onto the water maker. We put a water maker on our boat, and we put a 12-volt water maker on that would run under solar. Given my time again, I would put a higher capacity water maker on that ran on AC. So we actually had the inverter on, so we could run with the engine on. And the mistake that I made was thinking, well, actually, if it runs off 12-volt, we can run it off solar and just make water all day long. The problem is that the noise that water maker makes, it clacks. It goes clack, 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 dum, 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 as the piston goes back and forth, and it's annoying. So I'd rather have a high output water maker for an hour or 2 a day than have to run it for 4 hours a day or a lower one. That's it.
Yep. Okay.
Someone else has asked about P brackets or sail drives. Always shaft drives if I can get them.
What's a P bracket?
Shaft drive.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's becoming less and less prevalent.
Steve asks, when will we see videos from Annapolis? It's going to be a good few months, my friend. We need to get to Annapolis first. We're not going there for a month.
Okay, what else? What are the other questions?
Phil and Lyra says, I would be happy with a 510 Privilege and move on without looking back. I agree with you. The Privilege 510 is an amazing boat. There is also, I think, even if we manage to get a Privilege 510 half price, say for instance Privilege said, tell you what, your review is so good, we're going to give you 50% off. I think I would struggle with... apart from that, it's too nice for us, but also the total cost of ownership of that boat, you would be spending a lot of money on insurance, a crazy amount of money on insurance.
Okay, so Kojo 2017 says, when will we see more canal videos? So at the moment, actually,
next week.
Yeah, next week, because we were alternating every week between a catamaran review and the canal episodes, but we've run out of catamaran reviews.
That's the last one.
So we are now back to weekly vlogs. And of course we are in the canals at the moment, so the videos are in the canals at the moment, so yes, Friday is next.
Someone called Rob W says, what is meant by a fully spec'd price of a boat? So I should explain. So when you buy a boat, it's like buying a car. You buy the base model and it comes with a very few extras, and you have to specify what you would want on a boat. What's fully spec'd to us is what's known as the other expression is turnkey, i.e. you can turn the key and sail off into the sunset. So it's got the water maker, the generator, the solar panels, all the things you could possibly want. And really, most manufacturers of production cats, you are looking at about $100,000 of additional extras to add to a boat to get it to our level of turnkey. So there you go.
Mike says, what cats between beside the Antares and the Privilege have shaft drives?
I don't know. There was an Antares in the Privilege. I think there's I can't tell you. No, very few do. Very few do. And it's really, yeah. I don't think it's going to change because it puts a lot of money. You have to really redesign the whole Catamaran to put a shaft drive in, to change it. So it's the engine goes in a different place, which kind of changes the characteristics of it completely. So yeah, and I think the Antares. My thoughts on the Antares is the reason it's got a shaft drive, despite the fact I absolutely love the fact, is because it's such an old design.
Yeah.
The hull is 20 years old.
Yeah.
And they haven't updated it.
Yeah, a lot of the older. I mean, Nick and Jason's boat has a shaft drive. That's a Leopard
2004 though.
Yeah. So, the older catamarans did have shaft drives, but they've been replaced by sail drives.
Yep.
But yeah, the Antares just hasn't been updated. That's
and Sid Sailing say, is it cast in stone that we're getting a cat? Absolutely not. No,
that's
it's
a
not.
good question.
And really, we were talking about this the other day. We're like, well, we should get to Southampton because there's a few monohulls that I really want to look at, and we will look at the monohulls at Southampton. But I don't want to muddy the waters in a Catamaran series by throwing a monohull in there. It's, the question that someone's probably going to ask now is, well, what monohulls would you look at? Money no object. I really would probably look at the AML 55 or buy a used 55. I think that is a fantastic boat and ticks every single box that I think I want on a monohull. Space for longshore off distance, long offshore passage making, ketch rigged, I think absolutely perfect. So
yeah, it's fantastic. The ML55 is
brilliant. 55. See the 53, the 54, and the Super Maramoo. They're all amazing. I think that they're slightly dated in look, and so it's not really for us. So the one that I really love is the 55.
Yeah, the 55 has a lot of really clever, amazing features that are just sensible, but for whatever reason, they're not included in a lot of monohull designs. Just little things that just make so much sense. For example, they put a little camera at the top of the mast so that when you're going through tropical waters and you're trying to find a place to anchor, you can see the state of the bottom. You can see where the sandy patches are. You can see where the coral patches are. So you don't have to send someone to the first spreader to scope out where to drop the anchor. You can do it all from the helm position, which I thought was really clever.
Someone asks Amel versus Hylas. Amel every time, and the reason for I would take Amel over Hylas is the helm position.
Yeah.
The helm on that Amel 55 is amazing, and all Amel helms are amazing. They are. Really, the single helm, twin helm, center cockpit, you're still exposed to the elements massively. And, we've done enough ocean crossings now to know that being out there, giving it Bobby Big Bollocks with your hand on the wheel, looking out to sea stonily, it gets tiring really, really quickly.
Yeah, I also really like the Oyster 53s, but again, they've got that center cockpit with the huge helm. And it's how often do you actually stand there helming? You very rarely do, and it takes up so much space in the cockpit. You have this wheel which is just dominating the cockpit, and you're never actually using that space. Whereas the ML, I feel, is very sensibly designed. You can actually use that helm station really, really well. It's so well protected, and it's also a little bit apart. It's part of the cockpit, but it's a little bit apart from the actual seating area of the cockpit, so it doesn't impinge upon your lounging space.
Someone just asked, are we going to charter catamarans before we buy? Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, but yes, this is.
And actually, someone else was asking what we're going to do for the rest of the year. So that brings us nicely to this point. So we obviously have quite a lot of time between now and next sailing season. And we are going to spend that time, well, we're not entirely sure yet, but definitely sailing catamarans is on the top of our list.
Yes, absolutely. So that we definitely. So I mean, look, YouTube and videos aside, this is what we would do. The move from us for monohull to potentially a catamaran is seismic. And as the naysayers say, well, you've never been on a catamaran. What do you know? We have sailed a catamaran, but we've never owned one. And so all the systems and the ease of use, it's when you're a guest on someone's boat, it's very different to actually chartering it. So if we weren't doing the YouTube thing, that's what we would do anyway. We would go and do our research, then we'd go and charter one to see what it's like and live with it for a week or two. So yeah, we would do.
Trucker Alistair says, don't you guys have a fear of pirates? I think we have a very healthy fear of pirates, but we also inform ourselves about, pirate hotspots and where they're likely to be, because pirates aren't just like floating around the ocean. They have a base, and those bases are fairly well known and well documented. There's a lot of information out there about all sorts of kind of incidents involving cruisers, and obviously piracy is something that is taken very seriously by the cruising community. So yeah, there's luckily a lot of information out there about where to avoid and where incidents have taken place in the past. So we would definitely avoid any hotspot, any pirate hotspot, for sure.
Joe the computer guy asked a question I think he's asked a few times. He says, if when you buy a catamaran, will you still split your time between being on a boat and being back on land? Yes, always. We'll always go back home for a couple of 3 months. I think it's the one thing, not the concession, the one promise we made to ourselves and to family was that we would always go back for a few months. And that, it would be, we've still got parents and, your sister, my sister. So we're always going to go back and see family. You can't just wander off into the great blue yonder and never come back. So it is for a couple of 3 months a year. We take time off voluntarily. The secondary benefits to that are, number one, it's time to get away from the boat, and you need to get away from the boat every now and then. And also, brushing up on skills, seeing what new equipment's on the market. We do need to update our skill sets regarding, what photography, cinematography, and not having to sail the boat all the time gives us more time to kind of make ourselves better as videographers, if that's what we are now. What other questions? God, there's hundreds of them. Okay, so someone's asked quite a lot about the Bali 4.1. We are not going to review the Bali 4.1 or the 4.5 because it was never going to be on our radar as a potential purchase. And everyone's going to go, well, hang on a minute, you're not going to buy a privilege at 2 million, are you? And you're like, no, we're not going to buy a privilege 510, but we would look at older privileges because the designs are the same and the same manufacturers. I know the companies change hands in the same way that we can't afford a new Antares 44, but you can buy older ones. But the Bali, there is no incarnation of that boat that I would buy for long distance offshore cruising.
It's not designed.
It's not made for it. It's not made for it.
For livable cruising. It's a charter boat, and I don't think that Bali or Katana, who own Bali, make any bones about that. It is for charter, and if you buy a Bali for kind of sailing the Bahamas or sailing the Caribbean or sailing Europe, then fair enough. But it's not really designed for like long-term ocean going sailing. Yeah. So.
James Kavanagh, apparently, he says, hey, big shout out, first time to see you here live. So happy Sunday, James. Joseph says, medical kit for cruising. The problem with medical kit, so he says, an idea for a future video, medical kit for cruising. There's enough information, and I think we have to be slightly careful about what we would suggest because I wouldn't want to be seen anyway to give medical advice to anyone.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Adam says, would you recommend the Ark in your preparations for Atlantic crossing? Absolutely, 100%.
Yes,
it's a really,
definitely.
really, really good organisation.
Yeah.
And I think I would probably, doesn't matter what we were doing, for ocean crossings, I'd probably go back to World Cruising Club and see what Ark they had, because they do Arks everywhere. It's a really good organisation, and I felt hugely reassured doing our first ocean crossing with them. I've got nothing. We're not sponsored by World Cruising Club. I have nothing but praise for them. Also, for the first Ark, I think it cost us £1,000 to enter, and I'm fairly sure we made the entrance fee. Well, we did make the entrance fee back. So basically, when we did the Ark,
I've got water there.
Sorry, when we did the Ark, they give you so many discounts for marinas on your way down the European coast, and a lot of them are half price. So you get 50% off marina fees in a...
Sorry, Josh says, what is the ARC? The ARC is an acronym for Atlantic Rally for Cruisers. It's a rally.
Yes. So you get 50% off a lot of marina fees. And we stayed in some marinas for like weeks on end. And when you're saving half price every night, I mean, there was one that was €9 a night. So it's like 10, 11 bucks a night for a marina in Portugal. And then there's so many parties and there's so many lectures and you learn so much, and it's a real sense of camaraderie with it all. Can't recommend it enough.
And it's so much fun, and you make so many friends. And I mean, the original arc, the Atlantic arc that goes from the Canaries to the Caribbean, That's what we did, and I would do that again. Even if I had done like 20 transatlantics, I would still do the Arc, not for the support necessarily, but just for the social aspect. It was so much fun. We met so many people, and then when you get to the Caribbean, obviously we're all there cruising at the same time, and so you're bumping into
it's pretty nice.
fellow Arc participants the whole season, and it's fun. It's just good fun.
It's pretty nice. So yeah, it answers that question. Yes. Justin says, thoughts on the galley in the hull for the Seawind 1260. So galley down is
they also have it
in the
Antares.
Antares. A lot of people are like, oh, why would you have a galley down? I actually see no reason why you wouldn't have galley down, because
people get very upset about the idea of a galley down.
And so people are like, well, you don't feel you're not connected. Well, so what? So what? I mean, Christ, how many courses of, how many ducks do you fricassee at night, when you're doing your dinner? Literally.
Like, how close do you need to be? You're on a boat.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes you just, maybe being in the galley is like, thank Christ for that, get away from these dreadfully boorish people. But the point is, so the galley down thing, to me, the way I look at it, I think the use of space, it's good use of essentially what is dead space. Because if you look to see in other cats, like, in hulls of where the galley is up, that space is normally just a corridor.
Yeah, so you look at like any production cat, like let's say the Lagoon 42, that has obviously a galley up, but then the hull, one hull is an owner's hull, which is lovely, but then the other hull is like the guest hull, and it's just all taken up with either storage, which is fine. I mean, the Catamaran is already huge, there's already loads of storage, and two like heads with separate showers.
Yeah, 2 showers.
And it's like, do you really need all that?
Well, do you know why it's cheap? Because if you build the molding, if you build the sinks and the shower trays out in the molding, there's less furniture to put in.
Yeah,
it's cheaper to putting a heads in a shower cubicle into a boat is actually a damn sight cheaper than putting the furniture, building the moldings for a galley. So yeah, I think galley down is a very, very good use of space, especially in a boat that isn't that big. The thing about this is, it's like, when you've got a 50-foot cat, and really, who needs a 50-foot, production cat unless there's 12 of you? Unless you're the bloody, the Waltons on water. There's only going to be 2 or 4 of you on board. So you don't need all that space. So, you can kind of go, we'll put a galley in there and we'll put, the drinks cabinet over there, and you can have it all on the deck. But if you're trying to make the most out of the space that you have, put the galley, I like the galley down idea. And if it's interesting that those 2 galley downs are both Seawind 1260 is a 42-foot cat, and the Seawind, the Antares 44 is 44 feet. And it's a good use of space. So in both the Seawind 1260 and the Antares 44, you get a nice size saloon, don't you? And you get a nav station. So you get better use of the space. And I think
sorry, someone's just mentioned for a family liveaboard that that they'll take 54. Yeah, like if you're a family, then please, like, the bigger the better.
Absolutely.
I don't want as much space between me and my children as possible.
3,000 miles.
Yeah.
Sorry, kids, we're off.
We're talking really just for couples.
Yeah. Couples or small families, and so and we've talked about this extensively. As you go up, 40 foot, 42 foot. Once you get to 50 foot, you are paying a ridiculous amount for more storing fees, for repair costs. So you have to take into account the total cost of ownership of all this stuff. So, yes.
Trucker Alistair says Nikki and Jason have a really nicely sized catamaran. They've got, I think, a 44-foot catamaran. Would you not consider the same size? The answer is absolutely yes. Like, that's exactly the size that we would want. As I said about, half an hour ago now, unfortunately, when you're looking at around 43-ish foot catamarans, you are really only limited to production cats.
Yeah,
there's not many non-production cats available.
Yeah, and someone just wrote blah 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 blah. Rachel Andrews says, we spent 3 weeks on a Seawind 1160 with the galley down. It was a game changer. Can you elaborate and tell us whether that was a big game changer or a bad game changer, good or bad? And someone else said, I can't find the comment. Someone said, well, yeah, if you galley down, what about, you don't get to cook, you don't get to see people outside. If you look at the Seawind 1260, for instance, and I've only seen the videos, they have a barbecue outside, a grill outside, and a sink outside. So really, you know, when you're in the Caribbean, you know, it seems that for some reason people have this in their heads that, you know, you're going to sail off into the sunset and like be cooking, doing dinner parties for people with top hats all night. You literally, you just, you know, you don't spend your time cooking. It's just, you don't, do you?
Well, and also I don't like think that that's a bad thing. Like if you know, look, put it this way. We're on a monohull. Many of our cruising friends are on monohulls, and so when you go over to a monohull for like a dinner or potluck or whatever, like whoever's in the galley is downstairs and everyone else is in the cockpit, and it's really not a problem. Like you just
it's not
up
at all.
and down.
You know,
it's just a non-issue for us. But yeah, other people might think differently.
Well, I suppose it's like having an open plan kitchen in a house. If you know, we don't have in our flat, we don't have an open plan kitchen. You know, and should we have guests come round, you know, you just move between two rooms. It's like yeah.
Another comment was, would you ever consider doing? It was he's called it wilderness paramedic training. I'm actually a paramedic, so I did a 3-year undergraduate at university and then an 18-month internship. So I don't think they'll have anything kind of to tell me that I've not already done in
Australia.
In good old down under many times.
You can treat spider bites and snake bites and jellyfish bites and shark bites and all sorts of other things. All the bites.
And Nick's a dentist, so he has his own very special set of skills.
Someone says, do you ever take continuing education for things like weather, first aid, navigation, mechanical, or video production? Video production, actually, we've learned most of our video production from YouTube.
I mean, yeah, you can learn anything on YouTube. You can learn to build a house on YouTube.
But a lot of things that you learn now, you can learn a lot of stuff from weather on the internet. But there's also a really good lecture series like the Ark. We talked about the Ark before. They do loads of really good lectures on how to read weather and how to kind of check stuff. And yes. Any other questions? I think we should probably round this up at some point. And to all 858 of you watching, if you haven't already clicked like, can you please click the like button? It's so good for us, isn't it?
Yes, it is very good for us. Adam says, sorry guys, but I watch the wins. Nikki cooks like she's a master chef. Yeah, she sure does.
She does, actually.
As delicious as it looks.
Yes, she does.
So yeah, that's true. And yeah, look, the galley up versus galley down situation. I can see benefits for both, for sure.
Yeah,
and to us, it's not a deal breaker. Both have benefits. It doesn't really matter.
Someone asked about the watercolor above the fireplace. We cannot move this laptop. It's plugged into all sorts of things. So, Jennifer, we will take a picture and show you later. So yes.
Is that your mum's?
No, it's my dad's retirement present.
Oh, from who? Who painted it?
Tyndall.
Oh, okay.
He's a famous artist.
Okay.
Yes.
It looks like the paintings that your mum does.
She'll be very pleased for you to hear that. Okay, so I think that's about rounds things up, doesn't it? We are just to recap finally and forever. We will see. We'll be at Southampton Boat Show Friday, Saturday next week. So anyone, pop round and say hi if you're at Southampton over the weekend. And
of course we'll be at Annapolis for the entire boat show in Annapolis as well.
So we hope to see you there. And so we'll see y'all in America. As for everything we've said before, if you are wearing Ruby Rose gear at Annapolis and you see us, we are giving you free stickers. Special limited edition Annapolis stickers.
Yes.
Aside from that, everybody, you are all fantastic. I hope you have a fantastic Sunday, whatever you choose to do. Have a lovely week at work. Stay out of trouble. Stay out of mischief. Say nice things to people.
You'll be staying out of trouble and out of mischief, won't you?
Always. Always like the little buttercup that I am. Anyway, have a lovely, lovely week, you all.
Y'all.
Bye. Y'all.